So as we progress throughout the rest of this section, we're now really going to look to unpack and look at processes that are going to enable us to work with clients and help them to deconstruct some of the more unhelpful thought patterns that they might have succumbed to in the earlier years of their development. So I just want to introduce you to a resource that we've created for you that you're going to be able to use and dip in and out of throughout the rest of this section and also the next, right? So we have a couple of different templates, a few questioning frameworks, and a few other kind of worksheets that you can obviously use in yourself, but once we have shown you how to use them, you're going to feel more than confident to get out there and start practicing and sharing them with other people. So in the resource we have, it's like a very, very basic thought diary. Now, remember, one of the first aspects of changing oneself and better managing oneself is becoming more aware of oneself. And what I'm saying here is that sometimes one of the most effective activities that a person who is just starting out on this journey of self-discovery, self-awareness can commit to working through is actually just managing and monitoring the thoughts that they're thinking on a day-to-day basis. Now, I think I've mentioned a few times now that we can gauge the quality of our thinking by the quality of the emotional consequence that we're experiencing or the emotions that we are feeling. So this can be a very, very great habit that we can either build into our own lives or encourage our clients to build into their lives. When they are experiencing undesired, unhealthy, unwanted emotions, they just simply stop, they write the emotion down, and then they backtrack and focus right in on what it was that they were thinking or how they were thinking that may have invoked this emotional response, all right? So one of the first aspects of change is obviously awareness. We've got to be aware of how it is that we're influencing the outcomes in our lives before we can realistically go on to start modifying something. So this is obviously all about thought organization, and we can do this through a thought diary. Now, up until now, I've introduced you to the ABCs of CBT, but in a few videos from now, we're going to build in and expand upon it just a little bit by building in a D and an E. I'm not going to explain that right now, but all will become aware. Will become apparent in a couple of videos' time. There's a number of self-reflection question worksheets that we've integrated into this resource as well, and I'll demonstrate how it is that we can use these again throughout the rest of this section. And we have a set of really, really fascinating questions that we can use to work with clients who are perhaps really, really stuck in a destructive pattern of thinking, and we can use these questions for self-reasoning, where sometimes we can actually talk ourselves out of a way of thinking in exactly the same way that we talked ourselves into it, all right? You'll find this demonstration quite an interesting one. Socratic questions actually derive from the Socratic school of philosophical thought. Socrates, a great Greek philosopher who lived and walked the world about 2,500, maybe 3,000 years ago, I think. I'm not too up on my history. But back then, Socrates was really a thought leader of his day, if you like, and one of his major contributions to the world of philosophy was that the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of our thoughts. And if we can change our thoughts, we can change how it is that we experience life on a day-to-day basis. So what he looked at was, how we can mold our conversations and our discussions, how we can use language to influence and shape and modify people's thinking. So we've got a really interesting Socratic questioning framework, and again, I'll demonstrate this in the final section, and the final videos of this section of the course. And there's also a couple of sets of questions that we can use to work with limiting beliefs. Now, remember, thoughts are different from beliefs. All right, beliefs are kind of conscious level. Thoughts are conscious level, beliefs tend to be more unconscious level. So the way in which we work with and address beliefs is going to be very, very different from the way in which we work with and help people to manage their thoughts better. But that's going to be more in the next section of the course. But we're going to be building the resources and the questioning frameworks into this resource so that you've now got everything that you need, all right, for following through the next couple of sections. So without further ado, go download the resource, familiarize yourself with the contents, and I look forward to seeing you in the next clip where I'm going to introduce you to a man who's been referred to as the godfather of cognitive psychology.